When this puzzle was first announced, I swear, every single person on the internet sent me the link. So you can all calm down because I'm doing it today. If you don't know, this is the solid white puzzle with one piece missing, released by Simone Giertz. She is an inventor here on YouTube. You've probably seen some of her videos. She made this really nifty jigsaw puzzle table, which is unlike any other puzzle I've ever seen. And she just released a puzzle, which, as I said, it's a solid white puzzle, but there is intentionally one piece missing.
Because I thought it would be funny.
So you can see all over the box, this is really fun, 499 of 500 pieces included. This puzzle has one piece that is missing and 499 that aren't. Certified incomplete puzzle, created by Simone Giertz, who confirms that she is not sorry. So of course the gimmick is really funny here, but what I want to do in this video is see how it fares as an actual puzzle from an actual puzzle expert. That's me, I'm the puzzle expert. So, okay, I think the first thing I need to do is cover my table with a backdrop because white pieces on a white table is not gonna work out so well. Oh wow, look at how beautiful those white pieces look against this teal background. I guess I don't really have to keep the box up here because it's not like there's a picture to work off of. So Simone did this puzzle in 19 hours and 23 minutes. So that's my time to beat. But I actually just did this vintage solid colored puzzle. It's also 500 pieces, also random cut, and this one took me 10 hours and 25 minutes. So that's the actual time that I'm gonna try to beat. I want to try to do this in, let's say, under 10 hours. Oh, that's gonna be really fast for a solid colored puzzle. But before I get started, let's take a minute to hear from today's sponsor, Skillshare. So if you don't know, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of creative classes for anyone who loves learning. You can learn so many different skills from really knowledgeable teachers with great production value. I am out here at my makeshift sewing desk because I love altering my own clothes, especially the stuff I get secondhand. But I never formally learned how to do it, so I'm not great at it. Especially shoulders. Shoulders are so hard to sew. I don't know how to do it. I've messed up so many clothes. But I just took a class called Sewing Alterations: Fit Shirts to Your Body with Darts and Seam Adjustments. The teacher, Maura Marks, broke it down so easily, and I find it's really easy to focus and stay engaged on Skillshare, where the classes are broken out into separate short lessons. So after taking a bunch of sewing classes on there, I feel so much more confident going into my next batch of alterations. So if you want to try Skillshare for yourself, I've got a deal for you. The first 1,000 people who sign up with the code KarenPuzzles or using the link down in the description will get a 1-month free trial. So all right, let's get started on this puzzle. All right, so the sorting took exactly half an hour. And if you've never done a solid colored puzzle before, the way to do it is to be very organized. You need to be able to see the outline of the shapes really clearly, so that's why I put down the dark background. And you need to lay out all of your pieces and separate them by piece shape. So if you've watched any of my videos, this is all gonna look familiar to you. Up here we have this shape with the 2 squares at the bottom. Then we have this one with the 1 square all pointing the same way. Then we have the standard piece shapes and the castles. In here we have all of the edges. Up here are all of these with squares on all sides, and they're actually more with 3 rather than 4. And then just a single one with all outs all the way around. And then over here on this side, these are all of the random wacky shaped pieces. You can see that there are a lot of false edges in this puzzle. So a little trick that I like to do is to just run your finger along that edge, and on this one, you can feel that it's actually a little bit concave. Now, when the puzzle was first announced, there was a bit of confusion because the promo photos had a standard ribbon cut, whereas the one that she showed in the video had a random cut. Plus, on the front of the box, it looks like a regular ribbon cut piece, but I can confirm that it is in fact the random cut that she was doing in her video. I'm sure that when they were shooting the promo photos, they just had a sample come in, they didn't have the actual product yet. But I mean, even within a random cut puzzle, you can see that you can still pull out a lot of similar, like, standard shapes. So that's what I've done. Now I'm gonna get started on the edge, and then I can update you on how difficult I think it actually is once I've started actually putting it together. Okay, the edge is done. Almost. I'm just missing this one piece, which honestly, for a puzzle with this many false edges, like, only missing one piece is pretty good. I hope that's not the piece that's missing from the entire puzzle. Yeah, that's the thing about this puzzle, is like, you can never get too stuck on one spot because you don't know if that's the missing piece. So far, I really didn't have any trouble with the Okay, actually, I was gonna say something else first, but let me start here. The other tricky thing with this edge is that a lot of them don't actually connect to each other. So I think this is right, but you know, there's a chance I may have to swap some of this around. Also, I already started filling in some of the interior pieces, especially where it doesn't fully connect like that. But what I was starting to say is that I really didn't have any trouble putting this all together, and I really didn't have any issues with false fits. You know, we'll see if that comes up as I go and if I have to rearrange things, but so far I'm totally happy with the quality of the pieces. So now that it's time to start working on the inside, this is the point where organizing everything like this and laying out all the pieces in a grid gets so important. Because like when I'm looking for a piece like this, I know that it has to be like a castle or one of these guys. I can automatically eliminate all of these pieces and all of these pieces. But the tricky thing with this puzzle is that there are so many random cut pieces with so many different like types of shapes within them that you do also have to look at all of these pieces as well. It's just about 1 p.m. right now. I just stopped for lunch, so I am good for the entire afternoon. Let's get back to it. Okay, so update. This puzzle is no joke. I went into it so confident, but I just spent another 5 hours straight working on it, and this is as far as I got. So I'm up to, what is that, like six and a half hours right now. So I feel like finishing it in 10 hours may have been a little ambitious. I do think 19 hours is still perfectly doable though, because you have to remember that this beginning part is easily the hardest part of the whole puzzle, just because you have so many options that you have to look through. But once you get to like the 2/3 mark, there are few enough pieces that it goes together really fast. But right now I am so tired, my brain hurts, I need to go not look at puzzle pieces for a while. All right, it is a brand new day. I'm going to finish this puzzle today. Positive self-talk. That's what's gonna get me through this. I wanted to wear white to match the puzzle, but I don't actually have a lot of white shirts, so that's why you're getting Barbie today. So, okay, I have a theory. I think that this is the missing piece, because I'm trying to remember back from Simone's video, and I feel like the missing piece in her video looked something like this. I checked with Simone in a DM, and she confirmed to me that it is the same piece that is missing from every copy of this puzzle. It's not a truly random piece that they picked out, but I'm not gonna go back and check the video. I think that would be crossing the line into cheating. I also asked Simone if she herself or someone on her team had designed the cut of this puzzle. She confirmed that they didn't. It came from the manufacturer. She wanted to make this puzzle because it was actually based on a short film that she made about a similar solid white puzzle with a piece missing. So while I would have liked to see a more custom design of the puzzle from her, I know from recent personal experience just how complicated and expensive it is to try to get a custom puzzle die cut made. So I totally understand why she didn't go that route for her first puzzle release. And I'm sure getting the manufacturer to take out a piece from every puzzle was already enough of a logistical nightmare. So anyway, it is just about 10 a.m. now, so I'm gonna get back to it and let's see how I do today. The thing about this puzzle is that I keep getting stuck for like minutes at a time, which when you're working on a jigsaw puzzle is a really long time between pieces. And what that means is that every single time I put in a piece, even if it's as tiny as that, it feels like a victory because it gives me a little new information to work off of. And it can feel really frustrating, but I promise if you stick with it, by the end, it gets way, way easier. So I want to share a quick tip for a random cut puzzle like this, which is to keep an eye out for these kind of squiggly little shapes on the bottom of a piece, because you can match all those up and you can see that each one is actually half of a regular in of a puzzle piece shape. So you can see that by finding all of those from all of the random pieces, number one, I've cut down on the number of random pieces that are left, and I've managed to get a whole bunch of pairs which will fit somewhere into this puzzle. Over here, I also sorted these out a little bit more so you can see how Like, these are all kind of similar shapes, these are all the same, these are the same. Here's where I'm at when I'm stopping for lunch on day 2. I'm definitely making progress. Okay, so I just added up my time and I just hit 10 hours and 27 minutes, which means I officially will not be beating my time from the solid yellow puzzle. But you can see that I'm basically probably more than halfway done at this point, and it's definitely starting to go together a lot faster because there are just way fewer pieces left to choose from. So it's about 3:30 now, and even though it took 10 hours to get to this point, I really feel like I can finish it in maybe another 90 minutes. Okay, I was right. I just filled in this piece, and so now I can see the entire outline of that piece. It's definitely the missing one because it would have been in this group or at least over by the random pieces, and it's not there. So this is definitely the missing piece. See, I told you guys I'd be able to finish it today. It is 5 p.m. I have 27 pieces left, so this should be no problem to finish up. All right, here it is, the very last piece. Oh my God, I'm so happy I'm done with this puzzle. That was a journey, a 2-day puzzle journey. So my final time, according to my timesheet, 12 hours and 4 minutes. But there were definitely times when I was like rearranging cameras when I was on the clock. So I'm just gonna round down and say exactly 12 hours to finish this solid white puzzle. And look, as Simone said in her video, there are definitely worse ways to spend 12 hours. Okay, so now I want to address the whole concept of missing puzzle pieces. I am 100% sure that I would get so many more views and engagements if I came on here and was all angry and was like,
oh my God, I can't believe she would release a puzzle with a missing piece that is like sacrilegious to the entire concept of jigsaw puzzles. Like, why would she release such an awful, terrible puzzle?
But here's the truth. Missing pieces don't really bother me. I know that sounds weird from someone who is a professional puzzler, but for me, the entire reason to do a puzzle is to put together the puzzle pieces. It's about the act of constructing the puzzle. I do so many puzzles that sometimes I barely even look at the finished image after I'm done. I get it if you bought a puzzle specifically to have on display, and if that's the case and you're missing a piece, you can check out my video about how to make your own replacement puzzle piece. But for a puzzle like this, where you know to expect a missing piece and you know generally the part of the puzzle that it's going to be in, I mean, if you've watched her video or my video, then you would know that, then it just becomes an extra challenge, kind of similar to the Impossibles puzzles that have 5 extra pieces. I covered these on my channel a few months ago. Or it's also similar to hand-cut wooden puzzles that have cutouts in the design. I love it when puzzles have an extra little twist like that to mix it up, so I am not mad at all about the idea of selling a puzzle with a piece missing. I actually wish she had taken it the next step further and truly made it a random piece from the puzzle so that you truly have no idea which piece it's gonna be that's missing. So Simone wanted to know if she had created the worst puzzle, and I would say definitely not. I mean, I think we all know what the worst puzzle actually is. But this one has a solvable solution. It's challenging, but not frustrating. The pieces are really good quality. I didn't have a single false fit the entire time that I was working on the puzzle, so I would say this is nowhere near being the worst puzzle. It's actually a really good puzzle, and I think it is a great addition to the lexicon of solid colored puzzles. If you don't know, I happen to be a collector of solid colored puzzles, both vintage and modern. It's a very specific collection. I have an entire video about all of the puzzles in that collection, but there's one that I think this is the most similar to, and that is the Spilt Milk puzzle from the 80s. This one is also a solid white random cut puzzle with a gimmick. This one, it's that the finished puzzle is in the shape of a puddle of spilled milk. My biggest issue with this puzzle is that the pieces themselves are super low quality, so Simone's puzzle definitely wins in that aspect. However, if I compare this to the solid yellow puzzle that I just solved, there's truly no contest. Nothing can ever beat these vintage Springbok puzzles from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. The pieces are super thick, the cut is really interesting. They just don't make puzzles like this anymore. Although, a lot of the cut lines in Simone's puzzle reminded me so much of the cuts of the old Springbok puzzles. You have the knobs being cut in half, you have a ton of tiny false edges, and you have these wacky looking giant shapes. So I think that part of the reason why this white puzzle was relatively easy for me is because I was already familiar with a lot of those little tricks that the puzzle makers use when cutting random cut puzzles. So if you want to make Simone's puzzle easier for you, what you can do is get some easy vintage Springbok puzzles, put those together just to get used to how the piece shapes work together, and then you can graduate to the solid white puzzle once you're a little more familiar with all of these tricky little tricks. And then, of course, Blue Kazoo also released a solid white puzzle fairly recently. You can see me solve the red one from this collection in this video. That's where I have all of my best tips for how to do a solid colored puzzle or any difficult puzzle, really. But the difference between these puzzles is that the blue Kazoo one is a ribbon cut, which means it's fully in a grid. It's only like the standard piece shapes that you would expect. And this one is 1,000 pieces, not 500. So this one is definitely much harder than Simone's puzzle. And then probably the most well-known solid colored puzzles are the Crypt series from Ravensburger. The silver one of these was actually the first solid colored puzzle I ever did. I have an entire video about that. It was a bit of a struggle, but it might give you a more realistic idea of what to expect from this type of puzzle if you've never done a solid colored puzzle before. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm going a little crazy. I was thinking about it, and I think the feet video is still the worst thing I've ever done, but I think this puzzle might be the second worst thing I've ever done. Okay, so here is the $1 million question. Well, the $50 question. Once you add on shipping and taxes and everything, is this puzzle worth $50? And I mean, look, if you are the type of puzzler who goes to Target or Walmart once a year and picks up a puzzle for your family to do over Christmas, then this is definitely a little much for you. But if you love interesting puzzles and you're looking for a new challenge, then definitely worth it. When a company comes out with like a one-off puzzle, you're always going to be worried that it's going to be a little bit garbage, but I'm really impressed. This one actually is a quality puzzle. So if you are brand new to my channel, I bet you didn't know that someone could talk for this long about jigsaw puzzles. So let me know in a comment if this is the type of puzzle that you would want to try. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button for new puzzle videos every Sunday. And your code word for the comments to prove that you watched all the way to the end of the video will be missing. Oh, and then I had one last thought before I go. So Simone is having all of the missing pieces sent to her by the manufacturer. Do you think if I ask really, really nicely, do you think she might give me one so that she and I can have the only complete copies of this puzzle in existence? I don't know. I'll ask her. All right, I'm gonna let you all go. Bye, everyone.